Welcome back. Let's chat. Thanks so much for clicking on my face again. I'm your host, Shelby, and welcome to Bedtime Histories. Today we're going to be tackling the second part of the Iliad, so thank you for waiting patiently. As you know, there are 24 books in the Iliad, and it's a little hard to summarize in one bedtime history. Where I left you off, the Trojans were ready for an attack led by the Greeks, or the Achaeans, or the Achaeans, however you want to say it. That's how they're written about in the Iliad. They're called the Achaeans or the Achaeans or however you want to say it. I'm saying Greeks because it's just easier. So they're ready, and you have Achilles. He's pouting. He's not wanting to fight because his lady got stolen from him by King Agamemnon. And you have Hector on the other side who's willing and ready to fight for the Trojans. And he's brave and he's wonderful and he's everything, and we have a crush on Hector.
What a man, what a man, what a man, what a mighty good man. Singing now.
Anyways, what I summed up last week was basically books 1 and 2. So that means I have books 3 through 24 left to summarize for you. That's a lot. But luckily, a lot of the books in the Iliad are just lists. So I'm not going to summarize the lists for you. There's a lot of lists, there's a lot of ledgers, things like that, because it was written as a historical book. And ledgers and lists are important in history. Not that important for bedtime histories, though. Thanks, Homer.
You're welcome.
Hector is ready and waiting patiently for the attack led by the Greeks. Everything's going as planned. The Greeks are hopeful because they've been told that Troy is going to fall in the final year of the Trojan War, and they're told that this is the final year of the Trojan War. They're confident, they're heading over there, and the Trojans are feeling confident too because they're like, the gods are on our side because they warned us about this, so we feel good. Now, a lot of fighting happens. A lot.
So happy together. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be.
I don't have to summarize it. There's a lot of fighting. And if I sat here and told you about all the battles and all the different warriors, we would be here for like another 4 videos. So I'm going to cut to the chase. There's a lot of fighting. It doesn't look good for the Greeks. The Greeks are putting up one heck of a fight though. And there's a lot of cool warriors who have taken down a lot of Trojans. Meanwhile, Achilles is just sitting there pouting. Still pouting.
I still love you.
And Achilles is still not fighting. I mean, granted, this is his fault anyways. But alas, he's not doing much to help the cause. Some of the famous fights and battles are what you've heard in history class. Paris fights Menelaus. Menelaus is the husband of the woman that he snatched away from Sparta. Helen, the woman who had a face that launched 1,000 ships. You know that Helen? Yeah. He fights her husband, and it's not pretty. He like cowers away like a baby, and Aphrodite saves him. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. All that fighting ensues, and it's not looking great for the Greeks. Greeks are not doing good. It's gotten to a point where the Trojans have pushed them back to their boats, and they're getting ready to destroy the boats so that the Greeks can't return home.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
And of course, if they can't return home, then they just have to fight till they die. And that's not a vibe. The gods are looking around, and they're like, well, the Greeks are fated to win, so how do we help them? The answer is Achilles. How do we get Achilles involved in this battle, involved in this war? Well, Achilles has a best buddy named Patroclus. And Patroclus is a really good warrior, but he's not as good as Achilles. And Achilles will only really listen to Patroclus. Patroclus comes to him and he's like, we're gonna die out here. Or I hope you're willing to die on this hill because we're going to. And Achilles is like, but my woman was taken from me and I'm still mad. My ankles. And Patroclus is like, well, if you're not gonna fight, can I fight? Because we're dying here and I don't want to die like this. I want to go home, have some olive oil, some yummy tzatziki sauce, and I don't want to die here at the hands of the Trojan. So Achilles is like, and with like his heart being softened by the gods, he says, okay, fine, you can fight them, but just enough that they don't destroy our boats so we can go home and have tzatziki after this. Patroclus is like, okay, cool, but I need your armor. Achilles is like, no problem, I'm not using it, my friend. Take my armor, go fight. Oh, but heads up, there's this guy. He's super hunky, super strong, super powerful. His name is Hector. Don't go after him. He will kill you. And I don't want to get involved in this, man. And Patroclus is like, cool, no problem. I'm only going to protect our boats. I'm not going to do anything else.
We haven't seen it.
Spoiler alert. Stop.
So Patroclus puts on Achilles' armor, and he goes down to defend the boats. And everyone sees him wearing Achilles' armor, and they start to panic, because Achilles is like crazy, cool, good warrior. He's going to kill you. So it does a mind game on the Trojans a little bit. And that probably is what causes the Trojans to start to fall in this bit. That and the fact that Patroclus was just a really good warrior. So they start to take back their boats and protect them from being set on fire. The Trojans get scared and start running away. And Patroclus, who is, you know, all fired up in the spirit of killing Trojans, doesn't remember his promise to Achilles and chases after the Trojans. And then he runs into Hector. And he was like, Hector, no problem. I'm Patroclus. I'm Achilles' best friend. I'm wearing his armor. This is cool. This is great. I'm the best. You know, the gods know it's Patroclus. And they know Patroclus is going to die eventually anyways. And so basically they get involved again. I don't know why they gotta get involved in everything when they made the agreement they were gonna stay out of it in the beginning.
Mind your business.
But they get involved and they cause Patroclus to get bashed on the head and his helmet falls off. And he's extra like, okay, I'm good now. Like, it's not Achilles, I can do this. And he kills Patroclus.
I will remember you.
Word spreads back to Achilles. And Achilles is devastated.
I will remember you.
He gets really, really mad. Really, 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 really mad. And he goes to his mom, Thetis. Remember Thetis? She's a sea nymph. She's mommy dearest. She does whatever Achilles wants. And he says, Patroclus just died wearing my armor. I need new armor. Now, it's just allergies, don't worry. And you can't catch anything from the phone anyways, okay? Now, Thetis goes to Herodotus. No, she doesn't go to him. What's his name? Alexa, what's the name of the Greek god of metalworking?
Here's something I found from the article Aphrodite on Wikipedia. In Greek mythology, Aphrodite was married to Hephaestus, the god of blacksmiths and metalworking.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
So Thetis goes to Hephaestus, the god of metalwork, and she commissions armor from him. And it includes this really great shield that's famous whenever you see Achilles in a picture or depicted on a vase. So Achilles gets this amazing armor, and he decides he's going to go after Hector. Hector's feeling really good after his victory over Patroclus, and he has his men camping outside the walls if you weren't aware, Troy was a giant fortress city with big walls all around. And that's why the Trojan horse story is relevant, because they're impenetrable walls. For whatever reason, during a war with their biggest enemy, Hector decides it's a good idea to let his men camp outside of the walls. I don't know. I don't question his methods. He's the beautiful genius, not me. Now, Achilles stumbles upon Hector, snoozing outside the walls, and starts to attack. Hector puts up the best fight he can put up, but he's no match for Achilles. Achilles is literally superhuman. He's half god. He's invincible except for his ankle, etc., etc. So no matter what kind of a fight Hector puts up, Achilles is just matching it tit for tat. Hector runs out of ideas, and he starts running around the walls of the city, knowing that there's archers around the walls. And he's hoping that an archer is going to take out Achilles. And they're shooting the best they can, but the arrows are bouncing off of him. He's blocking him with his shield. It's just no match. Finally, Achilles catches up to Hector, kills him. It's very sad. But that's not even the saddest part. The saddest part is that Achilles keeps Hector's body. He ties him to the back of his chariot, and he rides around and around and around and around, dragging his body all over the place.
I will remember you.
This is really, really sad because it's mostly just a spite move from Achilles. There's no other reason for it, other than the fact that he's still angry about his friend dying at the hands of Hector. The death of Hector symbolizes the death of the Trojans themselves. So it's really the nail in the coffin, the final nail that plunges deep into the coffin. It's over, it's done, Troy is dead. The Greeks are just kind of wrapping things up, and the gods are watching this from Olympus, and they're like, this was messy, this was messy. And everyone's like, don't you feel kind of bad for Hector and Priam? That's really sad, right? And Zeus is like, you're right. We need to give Hector's body back to King Priam so they can have a proper burial. Basically, the Trojans at this point are just so depressed they don't even want to fight. And so that's part of why it's just like, it's really souring to the gods, because it's just like kicking wounded puppies. Like, it's not fair anymore. Zeus sends Hermes, disguised as a man, to go get King Priam and tell him to go ask for the body of his son back. They also tell Achilles it's time to let it go, it's time to move on. Do you want me to call Dr. Phil? You want a box of tissues? What do you want to do? Because this is not okay.
Insight, the ability to see and understand why you do the things you do.
And Achilles is like, okay, you're right. And Apollo is protecting the body of Hector so that it doesn't rot, because it already has rotted a little bit and it's really stinky. So Apollo's protecting the body, waiting for King Priam. King Priam shows up and he addresses Achilles and he's like, hey, look, man, can I have my son back? This is really messed up. Can't we just, you've won already, can't we just have a proper burial for my son? And Achilles is like, sure, because I've already been told I had to do that anyways. So he gives Hector's body back to King Priam, and the gods command that the Greeks give the Trojans proper time for a burial. I think it's 9 or 10 days. So they take Hector back in this 9 or 10 days, it might even be 8 days of reprieve from attack. And they use that time to give Hector the proper burial that he deserves. And in that burial symbolizes the burial of Troy, the laying to rest of the heroes of Troy. That's the end. Isn't it sad? Sad but beautiful, right? Thank you again so much for watching. I'll see you next time on Bedtime Histories, and as always, good night.